Well, I looked down this distinguished list of people who have won this award, many of whom I know, and I, as the mayor said before, recognize the extraordinary achievement that this is. These are people who contributed more to this community than frankly anyone else. And Shockey, you know what? You're the first ethnic. Quite sincerely, it's the list is everyone else is a European, and you're the first one who's born outside North America or of European extraction. And that's a comment on our community, it's a commentary on our country and the way we're changing. And it's also something that Neil Aitchison pointed out to me before, so this isn't original. Thank goodness we finally recognized someone who has come from outside of North America or Europe and has made such an enormous contribution. That's the serious part. Let me begin. You've heard about father-in-laws from Elaine. Let me begin with a tribute to Earl Grummet. Earl, sitting here. He's a veteran of Juno Beach in 1944, the Battle of Falaise Gap, a liberator of Holland, and his most dangerous assignment, father-in-law of Shockey Fahill. Can you imagine your daughter coming home with a suspicious-looking Palestinian with a huge mustache and absolutely no money? He not only asked, no demands, your beautiful daughters, and you should see the pictures of Kathy, but he also asked for a loan. No wonder that this war hero finally surrendered. Shockey is his own blitzkrieg. According to the Kitchener-Waterloo record, and who can doubt such an eminent source, and I quote, the ever-modest Shockey Fahill began his illustrious business career in the back seat of a car with $1,500 from his father-in-law. Well, Earl never got his $1,500 back, but at least he got Shockey out of the back seat of an old Chevy and into the front seat of a BMW. And I've never found out what Shockey was doing in the back seat. In my own case, I actually introduced Riley and Elaine to Shockey, and I knew him before any of this happened. I met him in those early days when he had a really lean and hungry look. He's still hungry. Shockey was everywhere where you didn't expect him. He was Orthodox, but he was in every Catholic fundraiser. He was a Liberal donor, but he was the top giver to every Tory candidate. And he was a Palestinian, but I found him at every B'nai B'rith event. Wherever he was, you knew Shockey was there. There was never a microphone he didn't find. And truth was, he really didn't need a microphone. Shockey and I have had many adventures together. The most memorable was our trip to the Middle East in 1990, which may have ended the peace process for us. I told him I was flying to Europe, and he said he'd give me a ticket to Europe that would include the Middle East. I didn't believe him, but we flew off. We flew a kosher flight on Alitalia to Tel Aviv. This ranks as the worst flight of my life. The stewardess, honest to God, this is right, Shockey, isn't it? They went on strike in the middle of the flight. This allowed Shockey free and complete access to the cognac. Within a few hours of our arrival, we picked up a Mercedes with Israeli plates on it. He took a wrong turn and we ended up in the West Bank at the height of Intifada. This was the slowest I have ever driven with Shockey. He moved at a snail's pace, shouting out the window, "Shukram, Shukram," Salam Alaikum, and all these Arabic phrases to make sure we weren't stoned. We were stoned in another sense, but that's another question. To me, he handed a Yasser Arafat style hit dress and told me to put it on to try and protect us as we drove through the West Bank. Well, after a few long days and nights of food and drink, and we certainly ate extraordinarily well at Shockey's wonderful family, we finally left the Middle East. At the airport, however, the border police may have heard tales of our wanderings. We were pulled out of the normal line and told, go over there. And they put us in two separate booths. I was here, and I could hear Shockey. And before we parted, I said to him, please take it calmly. We've done nothing wrong, there's no contraband, we've done nothing illegal. Shockey started off very softly, then the volume increased, and then thunder came in Hebrew, Arabic, and English. I asked the guard in my room, what is Shockey saying? She says, you don't want to know. The plane was therefore delayed. I was the first one released, and I got on the plane. I sat down beside a very pleasant young student from Toronto, and she turned to me and said, I hear a suspected terrorist is trying to get on this plane. At that precise moment, guess who got aboard? As all heads turned towards the entrance to the economy cabin, and she said, and that's him. Well, the trip to the Middle East taught me a lot about Shockey, his love of his family, a wonderful family, his deep commitment to the betterment of his people, and his faith that peace will and must come to the Middle East. His family knows his generosity, how much he cares for them, and his friends, like me, benefit so much from that generosity. Elaine read a poem, and I have a short one of my own for my very dear friend. Heaven without you would be such a bore, and hell with you would be hell no more. And so, Elaine, you're going to be bored. And Riley, you know where all judges go. And so, Shockey, Riley and I will be there with you. We're going to have a hell of a time.
Let me start by congratulating the Twin Cities JCs for a wonderful evening, and I look back at the contributions you have been making with this award since 1957. If John English were to write a new history, it would be certainly a good place to start because everybody figures very, very prominently. What John was too kind to mention in his trip to the Middle East is John knows what a strip search means. I mean, all the positive things that have been said by Shockey are well deserved, and more should come. When I read the KW Record story and the editorial, I agreed with everything except when they said modest and humble. And I thought, in over 20 years I known Shockey, was there a time when he was modest and humble? And I thought of a time. And it was when I was over at his house, having dinner with Kathy and Shadi and Amanda, and his kids made him modest and humble. And they keep his feet solidly to the ground. There's no question Shockey has given a whole lot. And I think the comments of John, that this is the first person who is an ethnic to receive this award, says a lot about this community. And I think it's, in that sense, very historic. As you probably recall, about a year ago this time, Shockey Fahel was in the newspapers. It was March of last year. And he's a very prominent Liberal member locally. And he was suggesting to the Prime Minister that he follow the good advice of his brother and maybe consider retiring. Well, I can tell you that Shockey was featured to go on the Middle East trip with the Prime Minister. And then he found out what most MPs find out when you disagree with the Prime Minister, the trip gets cancelled. But Shockey, I want you to know that we do not hold, or I should say the Prime Minister doesn't hold grudges. I certainly don't. I found out what it's like to be Shockey's treatment. But I have this presentation to give you, and it gives me great pleasure to extend my warmest congratulations to you as the recipient of the Twin City JC's 2000 Citizen of the Year Award. I believe that the strength of a society directly reflects the character and spirit of its citizens. The strong society is one in which can draw on the devotion of its citizens to an ethnic and civic obligation. Over the years, you have clearly shown that you share this philosophy through your generosity of time and service to many local community organizations, which has also been extended to those abroad. Your dedication to improving the quality of life for members of your community has set a sterling example for all to follow and makes you most deserving of this special recognition. Please accept my very best wishes to you for continued health and happiness. Sincerely, Jean Chrétien. We also have a signed picture for you from Paul Martin. And also, to show you how, well, it shows a lot about the fact that you're not modest and retiring. And this was a couple of years ago, it was a state dinner. And imagine, we have the wife of the Prime Minister of Lebanon, the wife of Prime Minister Jean Chrétien. They're surrounded by all sorts of security. And what we have is Shockey Fahel, the thorn, and the two flowers are here, and there's the thorn right in the middle. So Shockey will give you that too.
For Citizen of the Year, two things always stand out for me. Their energy and their time management skills. These people are masters of it. This year's recipient is no exception. In this day and age of profit-driven companies and organizations, anyone who runs a company needs all their time and energy just to run that business. It's remarkable and refreshing, I think, to see a businessman who still believes that all the work and effort should not have just dollars and cents attached, but that community service and work for their fellow man has its own rewards. Tonight we are honoring such an individual. In addition to the day-to-day running of his business, he's also involved with the Multicultural Festival, involved with the downtown revitalization, with local Arab community, and various housing projects such as Ontario Nonprofit Housing and Habitat for Humanity. Tonight, we are fortunate that Shockey has found the time and energy to be here tonight to accept this honor. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Twin City JCs, I am honored and proud to present to you our Citizen of the Year for 2000, Mr. S. Joseph Gabriel Fahel.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, mayors, chairman, members of parliament, neighbors, Rotarians, doctors, family, employees, friends, Twin City JCs. Wow, it's like I've been hit on the head with with a sledgehammer. I'm just trying to raise my head. What a great honor. I mean, I spend hours normally, and that's what I usually do. I spend 3-4 hours trying to write my speeches and what have you. When I come to the podium, I just throw them on the side and what have you. But I really wanted to remind everybody tonight, that a portion of the proceeds from this evening's dinner will go to the minority group. It's called the Friends of Joe Clark. I really tell you what's on Stockwell Day's mind today. Nothing. Eat your heart out, Doc Greg. Don Greg. Oh, my head. Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor bestowed upon me and my family and each and every one of you here tonight to share in this great, great evening. An honor that I'm sharing with very many people that are in the audience that I have had the honor to have worked with over the past, many years in this community. This is something new. I try to get used to it. I want to put it on, I don't want to put it on, but then I can't see what I want to read. Many of the previous recipients, the presidents that are here tonight that have been acknowledged, some of whom I have worked with, but what really struck me tonight is to see Mrs. McIntosh here, an 85-year-old lady. And I told her tonight how honored I was to have met her tonight, but how honored I was also to have worked with her son through our Rotary Club with Cam McIntosh. And it is that kind of work, and it is that kind of volunteerism, and that kind of contribution that is acknowledged and that is recognized by the Twin City JCs. The speakers earlier tonight, I got to get my little book. I brought everything except the book that I really need to have. My notes, thank you. I will use some of the notes. The speakers tonight, Judge Riley is I don't know if some of you knew a little while ago, Judge Riley was in the paper as the Good Samaritan who went to help a policeman who was trying to arrest a citizen, and this citizen bit Judge Riley on the hand. And Judge Riley, a very close friend, a man of compassion and many words, when he was asked to try and comment on that episode, he said the shortest speech of his life. It's one word. He says, I can't do that. He did not comment on that, and the record said, it is a good citizen that came forward, the Good Samaritan. And when I talked to some of his people in the office, they said, Jesus, Sharky, do you know anybody that speaks more than Judge Riley? He was very, very, very short to the forum tonight. John English, between and I don't know if any of you know this. I'm sure many of you know this. Between John English receiving the Order of Canada and between Elaine Reese being the Citizen of the Year, I was asking Judge, what the hell are you bringing to the table tonight? Eat your heart out, Neil Aitchison. Andrew Telegdi was up here talking about, about Paul Martin and John Chrétien. I do want to take a moment here to acknowledge my friend and our member, Ken Redmond. who a week ago stood up in the House of Commons and took 2 minutes, and she acknowledged the Twin City JC's bestowment of this award unto me, and asked the House of Commons and the Liberal Party of Canada and members of the House to share in that honor. So I want to publicly thank you, Karen, for that. Thank you. John English, I got to tell you, John, I have a photo of you lending Paul Martin your support, you know. I have another photo of him wearing it. And I was going around the room earlier tonight saying, you know, I've been on a diet for 2 weeks, and I've lost 14 days. Talking about Judge Riley, you know, when they attempted to bribe him and buy him, he says, I can't be bought, but make me an offer. Talking to Elaine, the husband, like Rolly, and Rolly said, Elaine's husband says, everybody with her is like Thanksgivings, you know, by golly. That's what you get for marrying a turkey. Forgive me, Elaine, I had to throw that. Elaine is such a gracious lady. Elaine has been a mentor to me over the past almost 18 to 20 years, a good friend. Elaine has, she's been selected as the Twin City JC's, you know, Citizen of the Year. And Kathy and I, my wife, were talking and saying, my God, it's been like 7 years, you know. We thought it was 3 or 4 years, how time flies. We were here in this room when the Twin City JCs presented her with the award. She has left a lot of inspiration in this community, and it's the inspiration, it's the dedication, it's the devotion, it's the giving of yourself, it's the volunteerism, it's the spirit, it's the sharing of yourself in the community that deserves these accolades and that selects and bestows this honor unto people like Elaine Reese. So Elaine, I want to say thank you very much. And Elaine and Rolly were on a trip to the farthest part of the earth in Argentina. And I got to look the name up here. It is Puerto La Entradilla, Ushia. It's the end of the world, you know, so that bottle of Santa Barbara, I think, you know, that bottle of red wine, you know, Kathy and I, we're going to enjoy it, that you brought back, I tell you that. And, you know, my father, bless his soul, said always, you know, never hit a man when he's down, for he may be, you know, coming up. And I'm glad I'm the last guy here trying to take some pot shots on these people. Community. Leadership, as far as I'm concerned, starts in the community that you live on. Leadership starts here before it starts, with due respect to all politicians in Toronto or in Ottawa. It is here where we make a difference, as Carl Zer mentioned. It is here where we make a difference, as Lynn Wollstonecraft's letter. And I want to take this opportunity also, as I'm going through, to thank Carl Zer and his council, to thank Morty Taylor for the kind words on behalf of Lynn Wollstonecraft and the whole council. Leadership is in your own backyard. Leadership is giving part of yourself, is sharing yourself. The universal law of the universe is you have to give before you receive. I am honored, on behalf of my wife, my children, my brothers, sister-in-laws, nephews and nieces, the brothers that are not here, and as Judge Riley said, on behalf of my mom, whom we're flying home next week, I'm honored to be part of this community. I'm honored to have given, to have shared. But when I look out there and I look at each and every table and I look at each and every one of you, and I was saying to some people earlier tonight, I feel like I'm looking at one big family. It's not that you're looking out there and you're looking at people, well, I know this gentleman or that lady, or I have friends here, Ernie and Doris Sonneman, that I have known since 1968. Mind you, I haven't seen them in years. They're out here tonight. There's so many people out here tonight from different specters of life, And John English was talking about being the first immigrant, Well, imagine me, as an immigrant, rubbing elbows with all these high-class politicians and what have you. Guess what? They don't want to shake my hands. Just kidding. I was told a couple of hours before the due tonight that the City Council of Kitchener had to vote on my award, and I won by one vote, 43. And they told me that John and Judge Riley and Elaine were going to be the speakers. I said to myself, my God, this is kind of paying a visit at the nursing home of the Holmans, It was February the 9th. I was in Hamilton. I'm just going to take you through a little tour, and I won't bore you with it. I had a call, and I was in Hamilton. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they talked about my voice being very loud. Can you hear me back there? They talked about the voice, so I just want to live up to that, And I had just received the Liberal Party President, Ontario President, Federal Liberal Volunteer Award of the Year. I get this call, and there's this lady on the other line. She said, Shalky Fahela. I said, yes. She said, hi. She says, this is Liz Bogner. Oh, yeah, okay, great. What can I do for you? She said, where are you? So I'm in Hamilton. Can I meet with you? She said, I'm with JC. Okay, I said, well, I'll be back in town in an hour and a half. So we'll meet at my office. So it was Saturday afternoon around 4:30, 5 o'clock. I met Liz at my boardroom on 173 Rogers Street. And we sat down, and she said to me, well, I was here with Gary, my husband, almost a year ago. You brought us in here. They went to my restaurant. There was another couple, and we went into the boardroom, and we had a drink. And we sat down. She said, I would like to inform you that you have been selected as the Twin Cities JC's Citizen of the Year 2000 for KW. Huh? And I sat down, and for 2 moments, that's probably the 2 longest moments of my life, where I was very quiet. And, I cannot talk about my feelings. I cannot put all the totality of the feelings, because there's so much that goes through your mind and your life and that particular moment. I mean, like, why me? I mean, there's a lot of people in this community. There's great people in this community, and so on and so forth. So I was very, very shocked on the one hand. I was definitely very pleased on the other hand. And this is an honor that will be with me and my family for the rest of my life. It's an honor that I will try to always live up to. I'm so delighted. I am so ecstatic. I am so, and the words go on and on and on. And I can be humble, though, contrary to what other speakers say. The Twin City JCs, their work in the community, their volunteerism, and as Carl Zerr said,